Yeah, every day I need a dope. I was on some dope shit. A nigga was a open. Never die. Nigga let me on some dope shit. A nigga might as well get his motherfucking self as a suicide. Got a jiggle, let it rip, nigga. Hopped up quick, so I had to double back, hit him 2 times.
I knew to this shit, bitch. I'm true to this shit. Never met a white girl like no white guy.
I just wanna be legit. Fuck the bad, it's the bitch. Bunny rabbit off the rip. Bunny rabbit reaches dick. Mighty know his dick. All is well in this bitch. 100 shells in this bitch. 50 shells in this bitch. Never fail in this bitch. Fuck 12, suck a dick. Fuck 12, suck a dick. Unless I talk to the top off.
Yo. Welcome to the Juiced Up Show. I'm your host, J. Juiced Up Accardo. This is episode 14 of the program. We took last week off. We had Halloween. I did a little weekend trip, little getaway, you know. We was doing it. So we're back this week, like I said, with episode 14 of the Juiced Up Show. Thanks for watching the program. Hit the like button, share some comments. I want to hear some feedback, a little corresponding on the different topics. I love to have a conversation, share a little dialogue. The Juiced Up Show is basically ESPN meets TMZ. We do social media, pop culture, anything kind of going viral. That's what we're talking about. And then obviously we also talk about sports. This week on the docket, we got the NFL trade review. We're also going to do an NFL recap and preview. So we're going to recap this past weekend's games. Then we're going to talk about some of the games coming up this weekend that I think are some pretty interesting ones and are actually going to be pretty big games. And then we're going to do a little bit of UFC. So this, with the new betting stuff that came out and Chauncey Billups getting arrested and a couple other guys from the NBA. Now the UFC has an investigation going on a recent fight they had, some unusual betting. So that's going to be an interesting topic. And then also now we have fighters coming out on different podcasts talking about how they've been offered to lay down on fights, big paydays, and I guess they've never done it. So we'll talk about some of that. And then at the end of the show, it's the Juiced takes. But first, since we're going to be doing a little bit of, we're going to talk about the NFL trade. We're going to do a little bit of preview of that. I have a trivia question I wanted to throw in, and then we'll get the answer after we do that. When was the last time the NFL had a 3-team trade? So I want to hear the year and if you know the teams. And then we're going to go over the answer after we do the review. So the NFL had their trade deadline this past Tuesday. Like I was saying, the Jets were sellers. Cowboys were buyers. We had the Colts pick up a nice little piece to add to their defense. The Seahawks added a nice little addition to their offense. And then also, of course, the Eagles were the Eagles, and they added another edge rusher to their defense to help them get a little more stout and to make another run at the Super Bowl. So first off, the Jets were traders of Quinnen Williams, interior defensive lineman. They were also a seller of Sauce Gardner, who they just drafted pretty recent. And these guys were pretty young guys, and they could have been good franchise pieces if they had a better franchise and a better record. A little more stability at the head coaching spot as well. So with Quinnen Williams, he ended up going to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys also grabbed Logan Wilson from the Bengals for some draft picks. Typically with the NFL, if you kind of follow the NFL over the years, it's not a lot of player-for-player trades. Sometimes they'll throw a player in the trade, but usually it's mostly trading for draft picks. So the fact that the Jets were big sellers, but they also got a lot of draft picks for the upcoming draft. So the thing is with that, yes, that's good to have a lot of draft capital, but it's also how you spend that draft capital, and hopefully you hit on some good talent, or you use that draft capital and you use it to trade for other players that are already vets, or maybe guys that aren't going to be re-signing with teams, and then you can get them onto your squad and have them sign with you. So the Jets are definitely in a full rebuild phase. It's it's going to be interesting to how they go forward with this. So basically, by trading these two gentlemen and getting more draft picks, you're basically saying Aaron Glenn, you got about a 3-year window to make this work. If you can't make it work, you're gone. Because I just believe in that, because you don't get rid of these two players unless you believe in Aaron Glenn and his vision. So we'll see how that works out from them. They did keep Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall on offense, so they have a good receiver and a good running back to start off. That's a good foundation on offense. If you can draft a couple more receivers or sign some receivers in the free agency, and kind of build around that, I think you have a good nucleus on offense. Seahawks, they were able to add Rashid Shaheed from the New Orleans Saints. That's another good receiver to go with Jackson. So now you have two guys on the outside that are burners that will probably get open a lot, and it's another weapon for Sam Darnold. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this Seahawks team. Their defense played very well against the Commanders this past Sunday. Their defense has been there all year. Their offense has also been pretty productive. You got Kenneth Walker, you got Charbonnet at running back. So I feel like the Seahawks are in a great position right now. And this is a great division. You got the Rams, you got the Niners, and you got the Seahawks, and they're all playing really well ball. And it's going to be interesting to see because the NFC is so deep. They might not be able to get 3 teams in, unfortunately. So we'll see how that plays out for them. But I like this. I like that move by the Seahawks. And we'll see how that goes. And obviously the Jets, they added Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson. I mean, not the Jets, the Cowboys, apologize. The Cowboys got Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson. So they're trying to build up their defense. Unfortunately, it might be a little too far in the season now for them to make a run, especially even though their offense is as good as it is. But I think if they were able to get these moves done earlier in the year, they could have been a lot more competitive and a lot more it would have been a lot more valuable in them trying to make a wild card spot or even, try to sneak in and win the division, which I highly doubt would have happened. But maybe the Jets at a certain point weren't sellers until now when they kind of just saw their season, by the wayside. So I think it was good moves for the Cowboys long term. You're obviously going to have to pay Quinnen Williams. I don't know if Logan Wilson is a long-term linebacker. He's a little up in age. But, if you can get him for 2 years, draft some guys behind him, and then build up your roster, I think it's a great addition as well. Colts grabbed Sauce Gardner from the Jets, added to their defense, and now you have a guy that's that kind of a lockdown corner. Hasn't played well in the last couple of years. Got a call for a lot of PIs this year, so we'll see how it goes for him. Always change the scenery is always a good thing. It always can help. It always kind of re-energizes a player when he gets to change the scenery, and especially when you're going to a top team in the AFC from the bottom. So you're going from the bottom to the top, and overnight. So hopefully they can get him to fit in well with their team, and hopefully it works out for them in their trade if that's what the last piece they needed. I think they could have probably added another receiver. I think they have good receivers, but not great. So we'll see how they do later on down the road. Eagles added Jalen Phillips from the Dolphins, another great pickup by the Eagles using their draft capital. These guys, this GM for the Eagles right now, I think his name's like Howie Roseman or something like that. This dude is in the fucking zone for the last 3 years, getting trades, getting players, signing players, making moves. This guy has not called a bad move in a long time, and they're very lucky to have this gentleman. Hopefully he can continue to make the right moves and pull on the right strings. Jalen Phillips is obviously a great addition on the edge. I'm not sure if there was any other offers that the Dolphins had for him, but the Eagles come up again, just like they have done the last 3 years, and we'll see if this helps them on the stretch to making the playoffs and possibly repeating in the Super Bowl. So those were some of the trades that I thought stood out the most in the NFL, and we'll see how these moves pan out. And the answer to our trivia question, and to go back, our trivia question was, when was the last time the NFL had a 3-team trade? I wanted to know the teams that year and if you knew who the teams were. So the last time the NFL had a 3-team trade, it was a blockbuster trade on Halloween of 1987. We had the Rams, Bills, and Colts. And the Rams traded Eric Dickerson, running back Eric Dickerson, the running back that wore the neck roll. And I think he wore goggles too, possibly. So Eric Dickerson, he was nice, though. He was nice. So they traded Eric Dickerson. They received Greg Bell, running back, Owen Gill, Buffalo #1 pick, 1988. That was Gaston Green, 14th overall. Indianapolis got the #1 pick in 1988. Aaron Cox, wide receiver, 20th overall. And then Indianapolis also got a #2 pick, 1988. Fred Strickland, linebacker, 47th overall. So, and then also the Colts got a #2 pick, 1989. A guy named Frank Stamps, linebacker, 45th. And then the Bills got a #2 pick, Darrell Henley, defensive back, 53rd overall. And then the Colts traded Owen Gill for rights to Cornelius Bennett. I remember him playing for the Bills as a middle linebacker. And they got a #1 in 1988, a #2 in 1988, and a #2 in 1989. And they received, so the Colts received Eric Dickerson in that trade. So the Rams traded Eric Dickerson. The Colts actually got him. And then the Bills traded Greg Bell, who the Rams received. And then they also received Owen Gill from the Colts. So this was a lot going on, especially in 1987. This is a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts. These guys were just probably on the phone in their office smoking cigarettes, because back then you could smoke in the office. Fools didn't give a shit. So you're probably in there smoking cigarettes. I just picture like an ashtray on the side of the desk with like tons of cigarette butts in it, and like maybe like a half bottle of whiskey, like probably just up all night just smoking grits trying to get this deal done. So the Bills traded Greg Bell, the #1 88 pick to the to the Colts. The number 289 pick to the Colts. Oh wait, the number 189 pick to who got that one? That was so the number 189 pick went to the Bills. See, I can't even keep track of this stuff. Good thing I have it written down. And then they also got they also traded the number 1989 pick. So the Bills traded the number 1988 pick, the number 1989 pick, and their number 1989 pick, and they received the rights to Cornelius Bennett after all that. So the Bills traded. They must have really liked this linebacker. I mean, he was pretty good. He helped them on their Super Bowl runs because those were the early 90s when the Bills went to like 4 Super Bowls. So I guess it kind of did work out. I mean, though they never won one, but I guess it did kind of work out. So that's our answer to the trivia question. The last time the NFL had a 3-team trade was 1987 between the Rams, Colts, and Buffalo Bills. Let me hear what you think about that trade. That was like that almost was like an NBA trade. Where it's like, oh yeah, we got them in here. They traded this guy because they could just waive his contract, and they got cash for this guy, and then this guy went over here, and then this guy came from Africa, and then this other guy, and then they threw all these dudes in. Like that's kind of like how these NBA trades work. You got like a 5-team trade. One team that's in there just got like a draft pick out of all of it. So it was pretty funny. So now we're gonna do an NFL recap of last week. So we had the Steelers beat the Colts 27-20. Pretty dominant game on the Steelers end. They had 6 turnovers. Danny Dimes didn't play so well, and they were also able to bottle up Jonathan Taylor. So I think that's a good they're going to be definitely a blueprint on how to beat the Colts. Obviously, if you can contain their run game, make Danny Dimes a thrower, make him try to win the game, you have a better shot at winning against the Colts. So that was a great game. Bears and Bengals had a wild game. Bengals came back with down like 14 with like 2 minutes left. And then the Colts came back, threw it to Loveland, missed tackle by the Bengals. He runs it down. Bears win the game at the very, very end. But Flacco put up some great numbers, and it makes you question how good Joe Burrow really is. I'm going to say it. How good Joe Burrow really is if a 40-year-old Flacco can be putting up 400-plus yards and 4 TDs with this offense. So that's all I'm saying. Think about it. Think about it. Just think about it. Panthers upset the Packers at Green Bay on a late game field goal. Packers have put some good wins. Panthers have put some good wins together. Earlier in the year when I did my, playoff predictions, I had like a random Panthers wild card spot. It probably won't happen, but they did already hit 5 wins. They're 5-4, so they're playing good ball. They got a good O-line. They got a pretty good defense. So I'm excited to see how the Panthers finish the season. Bills beat the Chiefs as they usually do in the regular season. That game was a great game. Patrick Mahomes didn't look too great. The Bills really do know how to play them in the regular season. We'll see if their defense can hold off in the playoffs if they do end up playing each other. We also had Seahawks and the Commanders, like we had mentioned earlier. Seahawks, they played really well on defense. They ended up getting dislocating Jalen Dan's elbow. So that was something that everyone questioned why was he even in the game. I don't get why NFL teams do that. It's like, is it a pride thing to take your guy out when you're down 30 points? I don't care. Bruise my ego. My quarterback's healthy. But now you got a quarterback in a sling, and your season's probably in a sling as well. And then the last one was the Cards upset the Cowboys on Monday night. Come on, Cowboys. For real? For real? I was like, damn, really? Like, you guys lost to the Cardinals? But Jacoby Brissett's been in his bag because he sticks to the offense and he plays on time. When you got Kyler Murray in there, he's scrambling around. He's not playing on time. So that's what you see with a lot of these quarterbacks, that with these backups. Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, pretty much same player, but Mac Jones plays on time. He finds the right options, and that's how it goes. And so that's why Jacoby Brissett's probably showing so much skill right now on this gentleman's offense, is because he's playing on time. He's getting the ball to the right reads. And the same thing with Danny Dimes compared to Richardson over there. He's playing on time. He has the right reads. They keep it simple and have a good running game. They didn't really ask a lot from Richardson, so I don't know why he wasn't able to, pan out as well. All right, so that was our recap from last week. Let's do this week's preview. We got the Rams and Niners. This game is going to be a good one. The NFC West is very tight right now between the Rams, Niners, and Seahawks. I believe the Seahawks are in first place, so this game is pretty crucial right here for the Niners and Rams. You don't want to fall back too much. Plus, the Rams already lost to the Niners earlier this year on Thursday night. So for the Rams, I think this is a big game. I think it's a very big game for the Rams, and I hope they can pull it out. And I like the Rams to win this game in San Francisco. We got the Steelers at the Chargers Sunday night. Chargers O-line, it is what it is. They're donezo. Herbert's going to have to run the ball to help switch it up to alleviate a little bit of pressure off the line, so guys just aren't blitzing the shit out of us. At least he can get out of the pocket and scramble a little bit and make something of something. The Chargers did pick up a lineman from the Saints, a little bit not on the great end, but obviously no one's going to give up good linemen. So hopefully this gentleman can pan out. They got him at left tackle already. Joe Alt out for the year. That was pretty devastating for the team. I sucked watching that last week in Nashville. They got the card out there instantly, and hopefully he's good to come back next year and be stronger than ever. And good luck to you, Joe Alt. We also have the Jags at Texans. This is a big game in this division because I think whoever wins this one could possibly sneak into the last wild card spot. And I like the Texans defense is playing well. I think CJ Stroud is still out, so Davis Mills will be going. But I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. I never will. The guy's inconsistent. He's not that great. I think he's a little overrated. He's definitely overpaid. So in that game, I'll go with the Texans. I'm going with the Chargers in the Chargers-Steelers game as well. Patriots at Bucks. Finally, the Patriots play a team with a winning record. Quit calling on the Bills as as your best game. The Bills are mediocre too. You know what I mean? They lost to the Falcons. So if you're a Patriots fan, stop hanging your hat on a Buffalo's Bills win. Just because they've been spanking your asses for the last 4 years. So we got Patriots at Bucks. Bucks still got some injuries. They got some players out. But I'm taking Baker Mayfield all day. I like the Bucks in that game. And hopefully they can blow the shit out of the Patriots so people stop glazing them like they're a Super Bowl contender. Next up, we got Monday night, Eagles at Packers. So Jordan Love has a redemption game right now. I don't know if last week would be considered a trap game. But we'll see how he plays against the Eagles, especially with their new addition of Jalen Phillips. And I think this is going to be a great game for the Eagles as well to see they blew these guys out last year in the playoffs. They were able to get in Jordan Love's head through a lot of picks. So we'll see how that goes. But in this game, I like the Eagles. So I'm going Niners. I'm going Rams at Niners, Chargers at home, and then I'm going Texans, Bucks, and Eagles. Those are my picks for those games this week. All right, next topic. So we got a UFC investigation going on right now, and it's over their last fight that Isaac Dolgarian had. So they found they had noticed some unusual betting patterns on this fight before the fight. Dana White had reached out to the fighter, and he said, "Hey, are you hurt? Like, we're seeing some unusual betting patterns. Like, what's going on? Have you been approached?" The guy said, "I'm not hurt. I haven't been approached. I plan on knocking this dude out." And he ended up losing to the underdog. And that just waved a red flag all over the place. And so once that happened, Dana White instantly contacted the FBI to investigate the fight, so that fight is currently under investigation to see if it was fixed or not. And then after this came out, it was kind of like a trickle effect. You started seeing some podcasts, some fighter interviews talking about they've been approached to lay down. Like a lot of fighters, and there's more fighters than this probably that people that said have probably been approached to lay down. And I wouldn't doubt it if someone is laid down in a fight in the UFC with the way this guy pays his fighters. Pay your fighters, bro. Pay your fighters. If you stop paying your fighters $20,000 for a fight, they might not have to consider laying down to make some extra dough. You know what I mean? Take care of your people, dude. Take care of your people. So I just thought it was interesting, especially with Dana White being a big gambler and then being in Vegas. So we'll see if maybe he changes his gambling ways, or I highly doubt it because the guy's an egotistic, narcissistic piece of trash in my book. So we'll see how it goes. But so UFC, FBI investigating one of their fights. Dana White did take the initiative, so props to him. He does care about the integrity of his sport or of his company. But everyone knows he's a dirtbag and he's a sandbag and he doesn't pay his fighters anything. So I hope it all works out for them, I guess, for the fighters. And I hope no one gets caught up in this situation. And next up, at the end of the show, it's the Juice Up Takes. All right, first juiced up take. This story got a little bit of buzz, but it wasn't like a big thing. But I still thought it was pretty interesting. So Tom Brady, he's an investor in this company called Colossal Bioscience, and they're behind dog cloning. So their most notoriety was they cloned 3 direwolf pups. So these like pups from like back in like the Ice Age type shit, like you would see on what was that? the House of Dragons type shit or something like that, or Game of Thrones, like some of those like dire wolves on Game of Thrones, that old boy had. So that's what their notoriety was. They cloned 3 dire wolf pups. So Tom Brady had a dog named Junie. Before the dog died, they took a blood sample of the dog and they ended up cloning that dog. And now he has another dog. Oh, no. So, no, his dog Junie was cloned from his dog Luna. So, before Luna died, they took her blood and were able to make a clone of his old dog. So, Dave Portnoy from Barstool kind of talked about this as well. I kind of am on the same page. I think it's kind of weird, dude. Like, you could just hit up the breeder and get a dog that looks almost exactly like yours without having to go of the route of getting a dog exactly like my old dog. You could go do a dog rescue. You could get a new breed. Like, so I just thought it was a little weird. Like, is he gonna clone Giselle now? Like, I'm gonna clone my ex and get a new one. So yeah, I just thought it was a little. I just thought it was kind of a weird story to clone your dog. Hit me in the comments. Let me know if you would ever clone your animal if you lost your dog or a cat, or do you think it's weird, or do you think it's normal? I think it's a little outside of the box. I think it's kind of weird. There's tons of different breeds out there. You could call up the old breeder, get the same dog. So I just thought that was a little weird to clone a dog. And then last up, unfortunately, everyone saw the news already. It's been all over the place about the Dallas Cowboy player that committed suicide. And you hate to see these things, especially in young kids, and especially when you're as a parent and you have young kids, and you think to yourself like, damn, if my kids are young now, but if they got to the age of 24 and did that to themselves, I would be totally devastated. And the fact that this gentleman was also hit the highest peak of his profession, he got to play professional football. He had a great play this on Monday night, the same week that all of this tragedy happened. It's just really unfortunate. And, we talked about addictions on here, and addictions and mental health kind of go hand in hand. They kind of coincide together. So, it really doesn't hurt to say hi to somebody or to be nice to somebody, especially if you can tell or you have a vibe that they're in a bad place. I'm not saying you have to go be their best friend or, take them in, but sometimes people are right, man. Sometimes just saying a hello or, how you doing? How's your day going? Even if they're still miserable after you ask that, it resonates with that person. And I can say that from experience because I work in a cancer department. I work in radiation oncology. So you'll see the same patients every day, and you get ones that just like aren't feeling it. And then, by the time their treatment's done, just by you saying hi, doing small talk with them every day, that probably made their day, and it made them feel better about coming into treatment. So from personal experience, I do know that small conversations help. Hellos do help. Smiling at people and saying hello does help. And even if you're having a bad day, those people that are going through it are having a worse day than you are. So I just wanted to say that. And just, if you are having issues, just be vulnerable and reach out to people. And if it's people that you don't trust to talk to, find a group of strangers or, anonymous group that you can go and talk to. But just exercise all your options. I feel like suicide should be the last option. I feel like you should always exercise any opportunity you have, and especially being a professional athlete. I'm sure they had a lot of avenues for this gentleman to go through, and maybe he just wasn't comfortable utilizing those resources, and it's unfortunate. But I just want to say that, man. And it's okay. Everyone gets the blues, everyone gets down, and it's okay to talk about it. It doesn't make you any less unmanly, or any less tougher, either be it a man or a female or whatever your gender you choose is. So I just wanted to say that. That's how we're going to end this show. I hope everyone enjoyed the program. I will be back again, and that's the Juiced Up Show. Thank you.